Hello, welcome back to my channel. It's time for the daily goat parade. They do this a lot, so it's not really daily, it's more like often. Here comes Rennie, always first up. Denali, sock monkey. I know the sun is terrible for identifying them, but they all come to visit to say hi. They're in their near pasture right now. Their far pasture is still open. That's where they'll be headed. But it's a warm day today, so they will probably stick closer to the barn in their stall where the fans are running. Right now, they're trying to get to that tree, which they should not be doing. That tree has survived so much. I'm so glad. Eventually, it's there to provide shade for them, but they're really trying to make sure it doesn't grow up. Anyway, this episode of Hanging with the Herd, I thought I would share a really quick story, but awful funny, from Farm version 1.0. So if you haven't watched the history of Racing for Home Farm or the history of the farm series, please go ahead and check that out. We have Farm version 1, Farm version 2. Farm version 1, I didn't mention this actually at all, but in Farm version 1, we did slip rail post. And what that means essentially is we had these same type of posts that we have now, but they were connected by long boards, 2 to 3 long boards, depending on where they were in the pasture. And it was great for the donkeys, and it was still fine for the goats. As we got more goats, we did end up lining it with this no-climb fencing that we have now. But the slip rail fencing is perfectly fine for donkeys or slightly larger animals. What we didn't realize or ever thought about is that, it might not be fine for other wildlife. And what I mean by that is we knew that any wildlife could pass through. And actually, that was part of what we thought was a good thing. We wanted to make sure, it was a smaller piece of property. We wanted to make sure that we weren't stopping wildlife from moving through. And so without putting up the no climb, the mesh fencing, floor to, ground to top, we gave access right through the pastures without any barriers. And we thought that was brilliant. And, over the years, we saw lots of things use it. Fox, skunks, raccoons, opossums, just about every New Jersey native wild mammal used it in some way, shape, or form. But one morning, I came out and I'm looking at the fence line, and I always look at the fence line because with slip rail, sometimes the donkeys actually move the boards and dropped them. So there's always a reason to fix the fence line. Again, why we changed it up for Farm version 2. Fence line looked fine. No boards were dropped. Nothing needed to be fixed. But there was like something odd about the corner of the fence. It looked like, maybe a leaf or a brush or something had blown in and gotten stuck. It was sort of strange. Never seen it before. Nothing was moving though, so I wasn't really concerned. I went about my business, did all my chores, got everybody fed and watered. At that time, it wasn't as much of a chore because we just had the goats and the donkeys and a couple of birds. But that thing was bothering me, and of course I didn't want it stuck in the fence if it was something that was bad for the donkeys, which is where the area it was in. So I wander over there, and what do I find? A young groundhog, woodchuck, groundhog, think, Groundhog Day, right? Stuck between the 2 boards, 1 level up from the ground. And I don't know why this young groundhog decided to not go underneath the boards, but to try and go over the first board. If you've ever seen a groundhog, they're fairly chubby. It was like Winnie the Pooh stuck in his tree. So he was just stuck. Wedged in there tight. His tush couldn't get through. His head and shoulders were through. And the poor thing, I have no idea how long that poor thing hung there. Hopefully not long, but he looked okay. I think he was just tired and had given up. So, all right, what do? They can bite, of course, and it's a wild animal, so you certainly don't want to be bit by it. So run inside, go grab some gloves, grab some towels and blankets. And yes, you know, we have to have leather gloves laying around because we have to protect our hands from things like this. So I put on the leather gloves, get a towel wrapped around his tush, drape another one over his head, and then decide, you know, the best course of action is going to be to try and get him backed out, because I'm not going to be able to shove his tush through. So I need to back him out, which means I need to deal with the head end, which is always fun. So thankfully, he was pretty tired and seemed to be comfortable that we were helping, not hurting, and did not try and bite us. I got him pushed back through the other way, sent him waddling off on his merry way. Of course, he went in the opposite direction of wherever the heck he was headed the first time. But yeah, that's the story of how a groundhog was stuck in our fence. And I don't think I've ever seen that again. I don't think I ever will see that again. But young springtime wildlife are always entertaining. We've had a couple of groundhogs at this property, farm version 2, that have done some silly things. We had one that hid under the trailer, and we were trying to move the trailer, and he kept moving from wheel to wheel, well, without getting out from under the trailer, which was always fun. But nothing quite as special as getting stuck in the fence. And I'm telling you, it truly was Winnie the Pooh, you know, stuck in the tree as he went after his honey. So funny story for the day. In the heat of the day, it's absolutely miserable. I'm dripping with sweat just standing here chatting with you. So I am going to head back inside to the air conditioning until the next time I have to head out in this miserable heat to make sure everybody has clear, fresh water. Have a fabulous day wherever you are in this world. Take care of yourselves, and I will talk to you at the next one. Bye for now.